Hey everyone, welcome back. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make creme brulee. Now this is one of my favorite recipes. It's really simple to make, and it's a people pleaser. Everyone loves creme brulee. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pouring the cream into a pot. Initially I had it on a pot that didn't work, induction cooker, so I transferred it in. So again, the cream into the pot, turn it on to start heating up the cream. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to crack 6 eggs and use the yolks only from 6 eggs. But remember to save the whites, because there's a ton of recipes that you can do with just the whites, including meringues and things like that. So that's what I'm doing, saving the whites. Now I do find it easier to use my hands to separate the yolks. Some people just want to do it, passing back and forth through the shells. But for me, I just crack them and then use my hands to allow the whites to slip through the fingers, and I have the yolk. So I'm just going to be sure to whisk the cream every now and again. Just stir it up so that it doesn't burn on the bottom as it is heating up. Now we want that cream to come almost to a boiling point, but not boiling. As soon as it starts boiling, it's going to start boiling up higher and higher and maybe boil over. But you just want to watch it and make sure that it doesn't boil over or come to a complete boil. So the next step is we're going to add a few tablespoons of sugar into the egg yolks. The exact recipe will be in the description, but here you can see using 4 tablespoons of sugar. And the other thing that I'm going to add is a little bit of vanilla as well into the yolks. And usually with vanilla, I either eyeball it or I use the cap. But if you want to be exact measurements, it's totally up to you. Again, making sure the cream's not burning on the bottom. And I'm going to use an electric whisk to whisk up these egg yolks, the sugar, and the vanilla together. It just makes it a lot easier, a lot faster. You can use your stand mixer if you want with the whisk attachment, or you could even do this by hand. But I find just by hand it just takes so long to do this. So just using the electric version here. Again, whisking it together until it lightens in color, sort of a pale yellow. Everything's thoroughly mixed and it gets a little bit thicker, the yolks and the sugar and the vanilla. So this process, it just takes, a few minutes, maybe a minute or two. But it should come together pretty quick when you're using sort of an electric whisk like this. Okay, so with that done and the cream just about to a boil, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour a little bit of the cream into the yolks. Just make sure that's stirred and incorporated. So a little bit at a time, and then once I have a good amount in there, maybe half a cup to a cup that's mixed in with the yolks, I can pour the rest in and give it a nice stir. So once the yolks and the cream, sugar, everything's incorporated, I'm going to place it over a pot of boiling water, so double boiling this, and then stirring it until it thickens up. And it usually takes a few minutes, but the water I just poured into the pot here, the only purpose for that is so I can put the bowl on top and not cook the egg and cream mixture directly on the heat. So at first I'm using a whisk here, but I will be switching to a wooden spoon. And the reason for that is when it does start to thicken, you'll use the wooden spoon to see exactly when it's done, and you should stop cooking it over top of the heat. So you're just going to check. You can see here on the spoon that the mixture is starting to thicken. And what we want is we want to get to a point where it's relatively thick, starting to turn into a custard. And you'll know that it's done when you take the spoon out and coats the back of the spoon. You take your finger and you run it through the mixture on the spoon, and it doesn't fill in instantly. So you can see here, I took it off the heat. It is almost done, and I'm just gonna do a quick check. So you can see there. So the mixture's fairly thick. It's not filling in the gap where I've run my finger through, and that means it's ready to go into these ramekins. So I'm just making a little bit of room here. Now the ramekins I placed into this dish tray to make it easier to put in and out of the oven and get them rather than placing one at a time. Now I'm just going to use this spatula here to help bring all that mixture into the ramekins. Now I have 6 here, so it's pretty simple. Just pour them not all the way to the top, but it won't expand. You know, it'll thicken up as it sits in the oven, but it's not something that's going to overflow in the oven. And you can see I got just enough for 6, which is perfect. It's a little bit left over, but not enough to fill another ramekin. So I'm just gonna set that aside. And it's time to put this in the oven. So we'll be back once it's done. So here they are. And you can see when I jiggle it a little bit, it's almost like a jello consistency. And then we're leaving it at room temperature to cool and in the fridge for at least 1 hour. So now that it's been in the fridge for a little while, it's thickened up even more, which is great. And I'm going to spoon about a tablespoon worth of sugar along the top. Once that's done, just take a torch, or you can use the broiler setting in your oven. But I'm just using this hand torch here, and just go along the sugar, melting it and turning it into this hard caramel. So you can see here, just going over each section, not focusing too long on any one particular section, because I don't want the caramel to burn or get too dark in each section. Now I do like mine where it is fairly dark, but I don't want it, again, I don't want it to burn and get that bitter tasting. I just want a nice caramel tasting thing. So that's looking pretty good. I think all of the sugar is melted. Turn off the flame, and you do need to let this sit, you know, not long, maybe a minute or two, before it hardens into that topping that you want. So you can see I touched it, it's not quite set yet, but if you have all 6, by the time you're done the 6th one, then the first one's definitely going to be rock solid. And especially when you bring it into your guests or when you're ready to serve it, that's all going to be, it's going to be solidified and hardened by that time. So let's break into this. You can see here, it's very hard. And let's crack it. So there's the custard. And you got your pieces of sugar on top, the caramelized sugar. Real easy to make, and it tastes delicious. Thanks for watching. I guess if you're here still, you're just watching me eat this creme brulee. So, you know, I could end the video now, it's fine. If you like this, check out some of the other stuff I got on the channel, and I'll see you next time.